Mr. President, a number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Loose lips, Mr. President.
Well, okay, so that's President Trump stating very clearly his position on Rob Reiner. Now, there's a lot of noise happening on social media about President Trump's statement. The first question that people want to know is, was it true that Rob Reiner said the things that President Trump said he did say? Was it true that Rob Reiner had a visceral hatred for President Trump? And was it true that he pushed the Russia hoax narrative, just like President Trump said? Now, these are things that need to be clarified. Now, leave your thoughts in the chat. I'm definitely going to be going into the chat today. And maybe at some point, we might consider opening up the call-in feature. All right, we're earlier this evening than usual, so let's just hang out and enjoy the show. Now, here's Rob Reiner, okay, in his own words, discussing President Trump.
You have a complete and utter lying buffoon. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. He's a fraud. He lies. He cheats people. Everything that comes out of his mouth virtually is a lie. And he's a con man. And if you look at what he's done with his career and how he's tricked people into things, it's abhorrent. I never liked George W. Bush, his policies, but I didn't hate the guy. I hate this man. I've never hated a politician. I can't not hate somebody who bilks innocent people out of money, life savings. And we've seen it. With that Trump University, he took people's money, $35,000, wiped these people out, and is being sued for it. He steals money from charities.
So that's Rob Reiner in his own words. And President Trump did say a few things about how Rob Reiner feels about him. Now, is it good that Rob Reiner went the way he did? No. Are there conservatives everywhere celebrating and rejoicing and making tons of videos with hundreds of thousands of likes and upvotes about the killing of Rob Reiner? No. So when we see people on CNN and on other platforms claiming that President Trump's statement is equal to people celebrating the death or the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that's not true. President Trump released a statement stating that it was a bad thing that happened with Rob Reiner and his wife. He sent his condolences, but Trump, being Trump, added that, look, make no mistake, I wasn't a fan of Rob Reiner and he wasn't a fan of mine. People on the left like to be politically correct. They like to pretend that they are one thing when they're not, and they don't know what to do with President Trump when he simply calls out the facts that this is where he stands on things and he doesn't pretend. Now, here's a creator on TikTok making a statement, and I want us to listen to him because, to be honest, I don't know much about Rob Reiner. All I know is what I've seen so far with the videos he's made about what he thinks about President Trump. And in his own words, he says he hates President Trump. There are other videos that I've seen of him pushing the Russia collusion hoax. He joined the gang of people who essentially didn't want President Trump in office, and he did his level best to frustrate every effort for President Trump to be accepted by the general public. Now, here's a statement by someone on TikTok. And let's listen to what he says, and then I'll give you my thoughts on his statements.
What happened to Rob Reiner is horrific, but he did spew a lot of hatred, anger, and divide. I'm sorry, that's how that works, right? Unfortunately, I don't have an evil enough bone in my body to genuinely make that statement.
So when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we had the likes of Ilhan Omar, we had the likes of Ilhan Omar jumping on CNN and other platforms and saying the most horrific things about Charlie Kirk, saying that he was hateful, he was a racist, and he was bigoted, and that his legacy his legacy belongs in the dustbin of history. Look, I watched those videos again and again, and I couldn't believe that anyone would say anything like that. Now, we're going to watch the leftists on CNN panic and go into heart palpitations simply because President Trump stated something that was true. Rob Reiner wasn't a fan of his. He wasn't a fan of Rob Reiner. That's basically the size of what President Trump said. He didn't go as far as what the leftists did with Charlie Kirk, but you know what? The leftists wanted to be all about them. They wanted to be all about the fact that, oh my goodness, President Trump said something unpresidential. No, he didn't. He simply stated a fact, and there's video out there to prove that fact. The leftists want us to believe that Charlie Kirk was hateful. Watch hundreds of hours of content of Charlie Kirk, and you will not find one hateful statement by Charlie Kirk. You won't. So the question is, did President Trump tell the truth? I believe he did. Did President Trump state the facts that were out there for everyone to find easily? Yes, he did. I'm going to share my screen to show you a search that I did on X. Okay, one tab says leftists celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination, and you're going to see the results. And then the other one says conservatives celebrating the killing of Rob Reiner, and you're going to see the results. The difference is very clear. All right, the reaction of both sides to people that they value, to people that the other side values, is very different. When President Trump was shot at and almost killed, the left celebrated. They went into, a frenzy, hoping that the next person who tries it doesn't miss. That's what they said. It's out there. Now let's keep listening to this guy. I'm sorry for interrupting the video, please.
So
sorry
for
about
me,
that.
it's just absolutely horrific how somebody can be murdered like that, stabbed in their own home, them and their wife, by their son, by anybody. If this was a political attack, it would have been horrific. No matter what, this is just an all-around horrific attack, and it should have never happened, and it's horrible to see. Now, Donald Trump should not be sharing the same sentiment that I have for the death of Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner consistently and persistently labeled Donald Trump all sorts of horrific names that could have very easily influenced people to cause harm toward Donald Trump and his family. So when Donald Trump comes out and says how sorry he is about the situation and how it's a horrible situation, but in the same breath says that Rob Reiner did have Trump derangement syndrome and constantly attacked Donald Trump every single day, I do not think that that's an inappropriate response. I think that Rob Reiner's rhetoric could have potentially radicalized one of his followers. So between the rhetoric that Rob Reiner spewed and the overwhelming sympathy that the left showed toward Charlie Kirk, I just don't care that this was Donald Trump's response.
All right, so here's CNN's take on President Trump's comment.
Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger said, after Trump's post, to still support him is nothing short of insane. All right, I'm looking at you. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't take any political advice from Adam Kinzinger, and I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. B, look, I've been hearing for 10 years that Trump's going to lose his base over this or that or the other. And for millions upon millions of Republicans who support what he's doing, who have lived through the last 10 years, they have learned to take Donald Trump for who he is, all in, all the time. And they are very appreciative of what he's doing for the country. They like what he's done on taxes. They like what he's doing on immigration. They like that he lives up to his campaign promises. But we're living through another moment here where a bunch of people are going to come out and make predictions about Trump and the base and this and that. And the reality is, it's not true. There are going to be a lot of people who don't like this statement, and then they're going to assess the state of American politics and assess the alternative and say, I knew what I was signing up for when I voted for him 3 times, and I'm going to ride it out.
I actually agree with Scott.
All right, so that's CNN is like, well, the president made this horrific statement. They term someone simply pointing out the things that Rob Reiner did do and did say as horrific. They call it unpresidential, not to tell the truth. Did Rob Reiner do and say these things? Yes or no? Now, I am not President Trump, and I will not pretend to understand everything that goes on in his head. But we do know enough about President Trump to know that he will say whatever he wants to say, and he doesn't care what the consequences are, especially when it comes to how the press reacts to what he says. So I will stand on principle on the fact that we need to ask the question, is what he said true? Yes or no? Is what Rob Reiner did something that President Trump should have reacted to? Yes, he should have. If, I always ask the question, if this was you, would you feel comfortable being treated the way President Trump has been treated for the last 15 years? Okay, that's a very simple question. Would you feel comfortable being treated the same way? Now, just to give you guys a reminder, because they try very hard to equate what President Trump said to what to the reaction of leftists when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. But I want to read President Trump's statement. I'm going to read it out loud, and let me just put it up on the screen so we can all read it together. Okay, so that we all need to go through this go through this together. Okay, all right. So here's President Trump's statement. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Would I have sent out a post like this when someone I don't like dies? No, I wouldn't. But this is someone who did all of the things that President Trump pointed out. All right. Now, for someone to have, now, so far, his son has been implicated in his murder. What would drive your son, your child, to stab you and your wife so many times? I don't know. Okay, but it must be something very bad. So that is what President Trump said that is driving everyone up the wall. Was Rob Reiner tortured? People will say, no, he was a great guy. But obviously, there were demons in his life that he was dealing with. Okay, and was he struggling? Which new movies had Rob Reiner made in recent times that did very well? Okay, someone tell me in the comment section or in the chat. He was once very talented, and there are people who I watch who have made tributes to Rob Reiner because he did make great stuff. And you know what? You can celebrate the talent of a director or of an actor and still call out the fact that they were flawed in many ways, and you shouldn't be seen as evil. We learn from their mistakes and we celebrate their talent. That's the way the world works. But everything is politicized now. If you look crossways or crosswise at somebody that the left supports, you're being hateful. So that is what President Trump said that got everyone's, tongues wagging, and everyone, flicking their finger, saying, that he was being hateful. Now, let's see what real hate looks like. Here's how people reacted when Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
I have breaking news. We think that Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck. Hey, ooh,
Did President Trump did
Oh my
that?
God, guys, did you hear the world's finally
do any
started
of
to
that? Did he
heal?
dance?
Charlie Kirk was shot. Ooh.
Charlie's dead. How nice.
He
Did
said
President Trump do that?
Gun deaths are worth it to keep the Second Amendment. Alright. Bet, bitch.
You're telling me I wake up from a nap and a cis white man shot and killed? Oh my God.
Charlie Kirk got shot and he's dead. I bet.
Yeah, so it goes on and on and on for over 4 minutes. Okay, so we're going to stop there now. President Trump didn't do that. We don't see conservatives doing that. No one is making videos mocking his family or mocking his death or saying more of this. We had people saying, let's do the kids next. Let's take out his wife. That happened with Charlie Kirk. Conservatives are mourning Rob Reiner, even though he said things about Trump voters that were really not so nice. And he said things about Trump that most of us like that weren't very nice. Okay? President Trump didn't say anything that he didn't believe was a lie, or that he didn't believe was true. So I hope I said that right. So we're going to jump into the chat real briefly before we jump into the next series of stories. Okay? Now, Patricia says, Patricia, it's always good to have you in the chat. Hi, everyone. Been busy working. We'll be doing some work while I watch. It's always a pleasure having you in the chat. All right. Now, those of you who are watching, please send in your comments and the chat. We're going to have a conversation around this just for a bit before we move on to the next story. Okay. Now, Patricia says, I don't know about all Republicans' mindsets, but mine is that we all heard what Reiner said. It was plastered all over the news, and we disagreed with him and changed the channel. But do you know what? Did anyone wish him to be assassinated, to be offed? No one did. Did anybody wish him harm? No. You may not have liked the way he said things, but we don't believe in doing harm to people that we don't agree with. Okay? The incessant... let's use the word passionate. I saw a video and it had the word passionate on it, when Rob Reiner was saying the things he said with his face almost turning red, and you could feel how he felt about President Trump in his words and saying how he hated President Trump. You could feel it. And we had a baptism of this for over 10 years. It was everywhere. Now, could Rob Reiner have been a victim of the mass psychosis that was being fed on mainstream media? It's possible. And you know what? That even makes it all the more painful that he was afflicted with that mass psychosis. Because do you know what? If you consistently hear things said about someone that aren't true, you eventually believe it. Tell a lie big enough, tell a big enough lie, and soon enough, people will believe it. Okay, so Patricia says, I dismissed Reiner as a political advisor. His thoughts became unimportant when it came to politics. I still watch his movies. Look, I love A Few Good Men. Like, these are his movies. A Few Good Men, The Princess Bride. Do you know what? Where is that book? I bought The Princess Bride for my daughter. So guys, we're not part of the crowd. I'm going to show it again. We're not part of the crowd. I loved this movie so much growing up. I watched it so many times. And then I found this book and I said to myself, my daughter would love this. My daughter has burnt through the Harry Potter series you can see on my shelf. And I said to myself, I'm going to get my daughter to read this beautiful story. I loved The Princess Bride. Okay. So it's not about saying things that are true in order to be hateful. We need to get out of this quicksand that we found ourselves in over the last 15 years, where when you simply say something that is disagreeable to someone or about someone, say, look, he said this. Hello? Okay. Okay. So I don't know when I lost, when audio went off. Oh, goodness. All right. So sorry about that. So, yeah. So you saw the book. My daughter, I wanted to get my daughter into reading The Princess Bride and so on. And thanks, Patricia, for letting me know that the audio was off. I didn't know how long. I don't know how long the audio has been off for. So you can disagree with someone but still enjoy their work. And one of the biggest losses that we've had in the last 20 years is that actors and artists decided that they wanted to begin to run commentary on politics. And to be honest, it's sad that they jumped into that space because it revealed how they see politics. Okay? If an actor simply says, I vote Democrat, so there, let's move on, it's different than saying, I vote Democrat because being a Democrat makes you a good person. And everyone who doesn't vote Democrat is evil. So if you want to be on the right side of history, you better vote Democrat, else you're dead to me. In fact, if anybody votes Republican, don't go home for Thanksgiving to have dinner with them. In fact, disavow your family if they keep voting Republican. That's where the problem is. They used their platform to sow that kind of division. And you know, the thing that is so rich about that whole picture is that they turned around and began to blame Republicans for being the ones who were being divisive. They were the ones saying, don't have dinner with your family. Don't go for Thanksgiving dinner with your family. And then they turned around to say, yeah, it's your family that's being divisive because they chose to vote Republican. That's insane. Okay? And Rob Reiner fell into that trap, as did many other artists in Hollywood. Look, I grew up on Hollywood, okay? All of you know that I grew up in Africa, and some of you might be surprised or shocked at how much I know about North America. It's because I was essentially educated by Hollywood, okay? Okay, you can call Sesame Street children's education, but all of those people there were actors. They were essentially Hollywood products. I was raised by Hollywood. And so to watch all of my heroes, all of the people who I saw giving me great entertainment, decide to lose their minds because someone they didn't like was in office, or a party that they didn't vote for was in office, was quite disappointing. And to see them say things that were so alarming, okay, was just crazy. So we don't hate Rob Reiner. I don't think this is an issue of hate. I think this is an issue of telling the truth and having a conversation around it. Okay. So Patricia says, now please continue to post your thoughts in the chat, and please answer the poll. Answer the poll that I put up. If you're watching for the first time and you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Hit the thumbs up button to say, I like this video, and then it tells YouTube, send this video to people just like me, and it will be helpful to our channel, to our growing channel. And at the same time, please consider subscribing, not subscribing, but donating to the channel by using the super chat or super thank feature. If you're on the main channel, if you're on the backup channel and you can't see anything that lets you give a super chat or super thank, use the link of the video to send us a donation to just show your support or join the membership. So all of that is available in the description of the video. I appreciate it so much. Let's go for it. Okay. Oh, did I read everything that Patricia says? I cannot take an entertainer seriously about politics when their job is to pretend to be someone they are not. I wish they would just stay entertainers. I wish the same thing too. Thank you for voting. I see you guys in the backup channel. Thank you. I'm going to celebrate people for doing something that I asked them to do. Thank you so much. Now, let me know in the chat. Do you miss those days when your actors were just actors? They didn't try to beat you over the head about who you voted for. I miss those times. I did a video today, and I think, has the video published yet? Let me check. I did a video today, and it was a callback to when Democrats sounded sane. I did a video, and yes, it's public now. And when we're done with the live stream, you can go back and watch that video. They talked like Trump does today. They talked like Trump does today. They talked about securing the border. I heard Hillary Clinton say, if you continue giving these health benefits to illegal immigrants, you're encouraging more of them to come. They said these things. It was amazing to hear. And I was like, why can't we go back to these times when common sense was being discussed in Congress? Today, they are talking about, defunding the police. Chicago is talking about how law enforcement is a sickness. Like, it's insane. I heard it and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you watch the video and then you tell me in the comment section of that video if I sounded like I was becoming soft on Democrats. I love Democrats, okay? I don't hate them. I don't. I genuinely don't hate Democrats. But it may have sounded like I was about to switch over and start calling people to vote Democrats today. But it was just me thinking about how it was in the 90s, okay, where you would listen to common sense policies from Democrats and you could vote for that. Like you could literally hold your nose on certain things, fringe ideas like abortion, and say, okay, no, like for me, I'm not a pro-abortionist. Okay, I'm like, okay, no, but everything else they talk about is common sense. But today, it's like 90% of everything they talk about is fringe. That's the Democrat Party today. Patricia says, actors know how to act. True. Let's see. Yeah. So Patricia also says, yep, I miss the actors just being actors. I think people became too starry-eyed about actors. Well, the movie star syndrome started way back. Okay, way back when things were simpler. And when you saw these people with flashy clothes, they were aspirational. They served as something to aspire to, the American dream. And they played their part as long as they kept their mouth shut. Okay, the Bible tells us that a foolish person appears to be wise when he keeps his mouth shut. All they do for a living is read lines. They read lines for a living, and it's what they do. Okay, it's what they do. So why would you decide that it's okay. It's like what I do here. Okay. Every time I hit record or I go live, I'm putting myself on the line. I open my mouth for an hour straight and I'm letting you guys know what's in here. A bunch of you like it. There are people like someone that I just decided I was going to block from the channel. I think he's a bot. Some of you saw the chat. I just blocked him. Some people think that I'm dumb. I don't know what I'm talking about. They attack me because I'm a black person supporting Republican values. That's all on them. But you know what? As long as I open my mouth to say what I think, it puts a target on my back both ways. Okay? So as long as the actors just acted, they read the lines that they were given, they appeared to be smart, they appeared to be progressive and people that we wanted to aspire to, great. Okay? Now, we have the poll is still open, and I'm seeing nice figures. Now, some people think that President Trump was wrong about his comments about Rob Reiner. There are people who think that he was right. Okay, on the main channel, I'm seeing it's a tie. On the backup channel, it's mainly people saying yes, they think President Trump was wrong about his comments. So let's know your thoughts. Okay. Now, and please put your thoughts in the chat as well. Okay, let's have a conversation in the chat. So the mainstream media is having a seizure over President Trump's stating the obvious. All right. Now, if you're watching, was Rob Reiner a friend of President Trump? He wasn't. And he made it very clear. Would you respect President Trump if he stepped out to say, well, Rob Reiner and I were planning to have dinner last night and somehow I missed having dinner with my good friend Rob Reiner when everyone knew both of you hated your guts? Michelle Obama stepped out a few days or a day or two after they were murdered and said, oh, Barack and I were planning to have dinner the same night he was murdered. Do you believe that story? Do you believe the story that she told, that she and Barack were meant to have dinner, not planning. They were meant to have dinner with Rob Reiner and his wife the night they were murdered. But by some act of providence or something happened and they couldn't have dinner with them. Do you believe that statement? Sometimes you hear these things and it's all about, riding the wave of the sentiment, that is running, in the country. Sometimes it feels that way. Okay. Now, Minnesota is still in the news. Okay. Minnesota is still in the news. And here's what's going on there. Okay. Tim Walz just released a statement, and let's watch him and then we'll give our reaction.
June 14th, they've been saying it since that horrific day at Annunciation. They continue to say it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I've traveled across the state. These folks have traveled across the states. I've said in town halls, the deep sense of frustration, the deep sense of anger, the deep sense of grief and loss around gun violence. And to watch people stand and deflect and word salad about everything of this, there's too damn many guns and the wrong types of guns on the street. And I don't want to hear how do you define assault weapon. I damn sure can assign what it is and describe what it is and tell you what it does. And unfortunately, we have a whole bunch of parents now who know a lot more about what these weapons were meant to do.
All right. So Tim Walz is having more fake outrage about school shootings. If governors are serious about protecting schools from school shootings, here's my suggestion. Why don't you send armed guards to protect these soft targets? Schools are soft targets. That's why these people, these unhinged characters, go there to commit these crimes. They know that there's no one there to protect them. They will never go to an army base to do a shooting. Have you ever heard of someone going to an army base to do a shooting? As much as they hate the government, is that where they go to show how much they hate the government? No, they go to shopping malls. They go to schools. They go to places where they know no one is going to be able to defend against them adequately with equal or overwhelming force. That's the way these people think. Now, Tim Walz is screaming about more regulation and gun control. What baffles me about this conversation, and we're going to see more about it coming from Australia. What baffles me about this conversation is this. The response of these people, I'm trying to be very polite, these people to a shooting or a mass shooting is more disarmament. It makes no sense. People have been harmed by other people who figure out a way to get these guns, whether you have gun control or whatever it is you're trying to put in place to take guns away from people. The people who are desperate enough to get their hands on guns will get these guns illegally. And yet you're focusing on disarming the innocent, law-abiding citizens. That makes no sense to me. All right, so you're so focused on schools. Let me know in the chat if a better option is forget your screaming and mewling about, there are too many guns out there, and focus on protecting the vulnerable. Why are Democrats so obsessed with taking away your guns? As soon as the shooting happened in Brown University, I went live. Most of you saw the video. I have family there. The next words out of my mouth were not, we need gun control. Because I know that doesn't work. It didn't work in my home country. It hasn't worked in Europe. It didn't work in Australia. Australia has some of the strictest gun control laws on the books, and they celebrate it. Yet that happened. So while they come up with idiotic takes on gun control, why don't they sit down and have a reality check? Gun control or excessive gun laws don't work. Making sure that enough of the population who are sane and reasonable people are trained on how to use firearms so that whenever you have a deranged lunatic strolling down the hallways of a school, at least a teacher or two will be able to put them down before they harm the students. It's really that simple. Why is it that the sane people who can have these conversations aren't the ones having these conversations? Patricia says, assault is a verb, not a noun or pronoun. I would never take an AK into a war zone. You would not last long. Exactly. Yeah, they talk about, look, most of these people who talk about assault rifles don't know anything about guns. They don't. Okay, they don't. They use assault rifles as a trigger word. It's like Democrats have this thing where they have a booklet full of trigger words or trigger verbs that get people to stop thinking once they say these words. As soon as they say assault rifle, you say gun control. Assault rifle, gun control. That's basically what it is. As soon as they say assault rifle, they know that the people listening to them immediately start thinking to themselves, gun control. It's all brainwashing, in my opinion. People are brainwashed into thinking the solution for a safer society is disarm everybody. I don't know. It's, many of you have been watching the news longer than I have. Okay, but as long as I've been talking about the news and reacting, to news stories that are happening, it's just tiring. MSNBC decides that they're going to get all excited about the thought of applying the same gun controls that left Australians on a beach as sitting ducks, and they're like, why don't we have it here in America? Let's have a listen.
Why not? Why aren't we going to fix it? They're trying to do something about it in Australia again. On the issue of guns, it only took hours after two gunmen opened fire on and killed Jews celebrating Hanukkah at the beach for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to promise reforms.
We are stronger than the cowards who did this. And I want to conclude finally by saying that the government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws.
Politicians there quickly realizing that the strict gun laws the country enacted after a mass murder back in 1996 needed updating. So why aren't we addressing anything here? Why not?
Because it's because there's this thing called the Second Amendment. Okay. You know, the more I do this, guys, the more I do commentary, and the more I even do commentary on news reports from TDSBC, I understand why Matt Walsh is so brazen and so brash whenever he talks about people like this. Because when you have such an idiotic take, it's like this, okay? Saying gun control after a violent gun crime has taken place is like saying to someone, oh, the crooks broke into your apartment and stole your chairs. We need to have more rules about leaving your door unlocked to let more of it happen. That's going to stop the crime. You listen to that insanity and you have to pray to God to help you, keep your tongue from saying something really mean. People are dead because you took away their rights to defend themselves. You had over 100 Australians on the beach, and not one person on that beach could position themselves to return fire on the attackers. Okay? Does that make sense? And then your response, your reaction is, let's make it even more impossible for people to be able to defend themselves. Can someone make all of this make sense, please? Can someone make it make sense in the chat? Okay. I'm jumping back into the chat. Okay. Patricia says, Australia banned guns, so how did those terrorists get their guns? Let's finish this story. There's a comment being made, okay, by one of the Australians. I was hoping to have Tony, who's Australian, but right now is really late. I think it's about midnight right now in Australia. So I decided that we'll go ahead with this story without having him on. But he lives in Australia and he would have had a unique perspective on this entire story. Now, here's a press conference, okay, from Australia, again, emphasizing the fact that their great big solution to this horrific attack is disarm the Australian people more.
Our approach to this terrible crime in New South Wales is multifaceted, but I want to make it clear that our efforts to firstly work with the New South Wales Police on counter-terrorism efforts continue. Secondly, fighting anti-Semitism in our community, which will not be done in a week or a month, but is a long-term important project for the Government of New South Wales, working with civic leaders and the people of this state. Thirdly, gun law reform in New South Wales, with legislation brought into the New South Wales Parliament to make gun laws tougher in this state. I'm determined to bring in the toughest gun laws in Australia, and they'll be significant.
Tougher than they already have it. So tough that Australia's gun control laws are some of the strictest in the world, and yet they want to make it tougher. calling people, Patricia says, calling people who own guns down, calling people who own guns, calling people who gun down others cowards is not a solution. Exactly. Calling them cowards is not the solution. Patricia says, I think I heard the terrorists had legal guns. Yes. They had legal guns. And the father got a legal gun when his son was on a watch list. Look, you can't make this up. Now, here's my thought on this, and let me know if you agree with my thought on this. Most left-leaning governments have been so focused on suppressing what they term right-wing voices and right-wing violence that they've allowed radicals and extremists to fly under the radar. They don't care about them as long as you're from a certain religion and your name, sounds like a Middle Eastern name. You get a free pass. But when you're someone who is seen as right wing, you're put under a microscope. You're the threat to democracy, according to Joe Biden. It's insane. Collective Consciousness, great to see you in the chat. Thanks for joining the live stream. It's great to see you. I've been meaning to see you on one of the live streams. You said actors are professional liars. Yes, they are. They are. I agree. Patricia says, exactly, collective consciousness. They are liars. Collective Consciousness says actors are soulless in order to be elevated to famous status. Professional liars. I don't mean to deviate, but I've been thinking about the trade. Let me call it a trade. The trade of being an actor. Actors do a great job, but you know what? I am concerned, and I'm saying this out of a genuine place of concern. I'm concerned that actors essentially have to break their personality to be able to do a good job. Any actor that really does a good job does some damage, if you will, to their personality because they have to become someone else. Okay? They call it stepping into what, okay, I forget and I don't want to go into that, but it's almost like becoming someone else. Stepping into the being in character. Yeah, being in character. That is essentially emptying yourself of your own personality and becoming someone else. And that is really damaging to your soul. Okay, so when collective consciousness says they are soulless, I think there is some truth to that. And that's not us talking down on actors. Okay, it's not us talking down on actors. It is simply stating a fact. Because when you have to pretend to be someone else and not break character, yes, Patricia, stepping into character. Thank you for pointing that out. When you step into character, you essentially become someone else. People believe that Heath Ledger stepped too far into his character as the Joker. And that is what caused him to break. Okay? So there are thoughts that was the character that destroyed him. There are other... Why is it that actors tend to have substance abuse in their life? There's some form of abuse or addiction going on because something literally has to break for them to become someone else. Okay, that is my theory. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the chat, but that's my theory. Collective Consciousness says, many actors are clones of actors from decades ago. That's why you see them glitch. They are soulless. Okay. Collective Consciousness, I don't mean this to be insulting. Oh, look, my dust Swiffer is over there. I didn't put it away. I don't mean this the wrong way, okay? But that's reaching, saying that they are clones. But you know what? There's so much happening, and Collective Consciousness, you're in good company, because we talk about these things on Saturday nights. We talk about conspiracy theories and thoughts like this. So you fit right in. Patricia, do you think we subconsciously attract people who think about things like this? I don't know. It just seems like it's happening regularly. Okay, it's happening too often that we have people that once we begin to dig deeper and talk with them, they find out that, okay, they're open to asking questions about things that aren't exactly about the news. Okay, so we have these unhinged statements by politicians diving straight into taking away your guns right after a tragedy. And I don't think that it is an accident. These things are done intentionally because it's important that you're defenseless. You don't have any means of defending yourself, so that you're more or less a vassal of the state. Okay, you depend so much on the state for everything, protection. You depend on the state for everything. You know, even wiping your behind eventually. Okay, you will own nothing and be happy. I mean, that's what I think everything is headed towards. We're beginning to see that this conversation around essentially offering up your freedom and allowing the state to do everything for you is the conversation that is being had on repeat. Okay. Now, while people are still mourning, there's a couple who escaped, and here's what they said about their experience. And it's very important to listen to what they said here, because part of what we're seeing is not only the fact that guns are being taken away, but it's also the issue about the rhetoric that mainstream media continues to put out there, running covers for insane policies that make these things happen. Because right now, one insane policy that we're seeing is the gun control, conversation. They want to take away the guns. And then once they take away the guns, it means that the people who have the brazenness and the willpower to go after illegal guns will be the ones who run the society, essentially.
I think Jews in many communities around the world understand exactly what you mean with that question, but for people outside the community, why does that kind of concern come to mind?
It's just what our government has done in this country. This happened, the start of this happened.
He's got blood on his hands.
On October.
And he knows it.
The acts of terrorism have been rewarded by the Australian weak government.
That is one statement that we continue to say. Whenever you reward bad behavior, you get more of that bad behavior. When you see something wrong happening, and instead of calling it out, call it terrorism, say the religion that pushes that terrorism, don't be politically correct, because the more you protect it, the more of it you get. If you say, okay, there's a disproportional amount of terrorism coming from people who are Muslims, it is a fact. You have Ilhan Omar trying to persuade us that the biggest problem to society is white men, radicalized white men. And she says it and no one pushes back to say she's crazy. And look, it's an outrage that you're accusing white men of doing this. Meanwhile, it's not white men who flew planes into the Twin Towers. So we need to call this out every single time. Of course, they pointed out the fact that the Australian government rewarded terrorism by their policies, by their inaction. The more you're like what we're seeing today, they are rewarding the terrorists by disarming the regular citizens. That's what's happening. Oh, some people got shot at the beach. Well, let's take away more guns. That's rewarding the terrorists because you're essentially saying we're making it possible for more of this to happen. It's crazy to watch, though. Okay? It's insane when you talk about these things and you're wondering if you're losing your mind. Let me know in the chat if you think, if you're impacted the same way I'm impacted by this. It's like what the Democrats have been doing recently with the narco boats. All right. Their whole issue, their issue right now over the last few weeks is you're protecting the country too much. All right. You're protecting the country too much. All right. Now I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'm opening up the phone lines. I'm going to share the link in the chat, and this will let you. I'm going to just send the link. Give me a moment. This is going to let you call in. Please be cautious. Use the link. Tap the link, and it will request that you're added in. And then you can react to any of the stories that we've covered. Tell us what you think about the commentary or the stories that we've covered. And then I would love to have a conversation with you. Because I think right now in the world, we need to have more conversation, not less. We need more conversation, not less. And so let me know by clicking on the link that you want to join the conversation. And then we can talk about these stories. We do have one more story that I would like us to look at while you guys are figuring out if you want to join the call-in. Okay, so here's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is essentially saying that Pete Hegseth and President Trump have something to hide, even though he has seen the things that he needs to see. But you know what? He comes out saying that such an atrocity has been committed on the innocent narco-terrorists who are bringing poison into the United States.
Joining me today, and we had a deeply unsatisfying briefing this morning with Secretaries Rubio and Hegseth. It asked more questions than it answered, and it was just, look, there is almost no transparency in this administration, and that reveals itself more than anything on revealing what happened on September 2nd. This morning I demanded in front of every senator, to Hegseth's face, that he let every senator see the unedited video of what happened on September 2nd. I've seen it. It turns your stomach. It is awful, and people should see it. What the hell is Hegseth hiding? His excuse about classification, it's false, because any senator would see it in the skiff. Now, I believe with the proper safeguards, all the American people should see it.
All right, so Chuck Schumer keeps contradicting himself. He says he spoke demanding that every senator should see the unedited video as if it's edited. And then he comes back and says Any senator can see the video in the skiff. Is that, I don't know, like every time they stand in front of cameras, it's almost like they look for ways of dropping hints that the Trump administration is operating in bad faith, doesn't want to show the truth, they're hiding something, and they continue to push these narratives out there. And personally, I'm like, is all of this necessary? But you know what? They believe it is, because as long as they can make President Trump and his administration look inept, it gives them a chance to win the next election. That's what it's all about. It's all about the next elections, not about the safety of American citizens. It's all about the next elections. Okay, so let's keep listening.
And why is this so important? It's important in itself to see if we were obeying the law. We're a law-abiding country. But it's also important because what's going on in the Caribbean is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it before.
You have over 100,000 Americans, 200,000 as at the last statement that the White House released, that died in a year based on fentanyl overdose. Where's the outrage about that? Where's the outrage from Chuck Schumer and his colleagues in the Democrat Party about that? I'm wondering. Okay? Where's the outrage? Because every time I listen to their reports about destroying these narco boats carrying poison into the United States that could potentially kill thousands and thousands of people, I'd never hear any outrage about the dead Americans. Meanwhile, he's talking about questioning the legality of the actions. Patricia says, Schumer knows they did nothing illegal. If there had been illegal actions, they would already have filed impeachment. That is true. All they want to do is to muddy the waters. Why are we playing these games? I don't know about you. It stretches me emotionally. Okay, to see people just play politics with human lives. It stretches me emotionally. And if some of you have noticed, maybe you've noticed that I've kind of calmed down, because usually by this point, my voice would have been raised. I'm trying really hard to be as calm and as centered as possible. I heard, was it Andrew Breitbart? I think it must have been Breitbart, who had, he essentially destroyed his health because of the way he was so emotionally attached to the stories that he was covering. I think it was Andrew Breitbart. And I'm trying very hard, because I'm going to be doing this for a while. And if I'm going to be doing this for a while, I'll be 50 in a couple of years. If I'm going to be doing this for a while, I better figure out how to manage my passion and emotions while I'm talking about things that are so emotionally draining, like seeing soulless people essentially prefer to defend people who are bringing poison that will destroy American lives than defending the people who are the victims. They want to protect the narco-terrorists. As far as Chuck Schumer is concerned, it is more heart-wrenching to watch justice being carried out in the case of these narco-terrorists bringing illegal fentanyl-laced cocaine is illegal, into the United States, than having American citizens protected. It's really that simple. Okay, so let's see. as far as I'm concerned, okay, Patricia is correct. There's nothing illegal going on, and all they want to do is just continue to poison the well. They want people to believe that something illegal is going on. Remember, when they released the video to the armed forces saying you guys can disobey illegal orders, what was it that they were essentially doing? They were laying the groundwork for all of these statements that question the legality of orders that have been issued by the President of the United States. It's easy to read, yeah, and it's easy to see.
And it could lead to another endless war. Disclosure, hearings, which our Republican Senate friends have refused to call, serve a purpose. They force the administration in public to answer very serious questions about where they're going. And so far, we've had no transparency. September 2nd is a first step, but we need a lot of transparency.
So saying they've had no transparency, yet he's seen the videos, he's seen everything that they've asked for, and yet he's claiming that there's no transparency. Where was all the outrage? Where was all the outrage when Obama was droning American citizens? Okay, where was the call for transparency then? You see, the hypocrisy of these guys knows no ends. Now, what is all of the noise about? Chuck Schumer wants to claim that the attack on the boats was unnecessary because they wanted American soldiers to board these boats and manually go through the cargo to make sure it wasn't fentanyl. And then they flip around and say, firing missiles on those boats puts American soldiers at risk. That is not true. That's the safest way to deal with those boats. If you send in soldiers to board these boats, you risk a firefight, you risk American casualties. It's more expensive and riskier to do that, but that's what these senators are claiming that they want. They want American soldiers to have boots on these hostile boats, and essentially, you have the tendencies of casualties coming in on the American side. And then they have something to say, look, we told you that Trump was putting American lives at risk. Now, here is Tim Sheehy, I think that's how you pronounce it, talking about this.
But to go after Admiral Bradley, to go after the brave men and women in uniform who are conducting these attacks is to indict the very system that was used bipartisanly for the last 24 years. I personally was involved in many of these operations, from kinetic strikes to direct action operations. And the process we have is legally sound. It's been supported by legal opinions for a quarter century now of how we find these people, we fix them, and we finish them. And keep in mind, if we don't drop a bomb and we decide to interdict, as is being said by many folks, we have an obligation to send a team to interdict. When we make that decision, you're putting our lives at risk. You're putting Americans' lives at risk. Just about a year and a half ago, you remember 2 SEALs were killed interdicting a vessel at night in the Red Sea. Interdicting a vessel underway is perhaps the most dangerous mission we have in our entire military inventory. When we task our commandos to go out and attack a vessel underway, that's an incredibly high-risk mission. So when folks say, well, we should be interdicting, that's easy for you to say here in this building between 2 cups of cappuccinos. It's a lot harder to send that 24-year-old operator out there who's got a wife and kids and tell him in the middle of the night you got to fast up out of a helicopter, scuba dive under a ship, climb up the side of that, and fight your way onto a vessel, because we're more worried about the lives of drug dealers than we are our own people. And that's a high-risk mission.
Yeah, they are more concerned about the lives of drug dealers than American citizens. Chuck Schumer shows that. Hakeem Jeffries shows that. Everyone who pushes back that, these drug boats are fishermen trying to feed their families. Okay, give me a break. Give me a break. All right, Patricia says, the narco-terrorists were warned about what is happening in the Gulf of America. Our president will stop the amount of illegal drugs coming into the country. It's really that simple. Anyone who is defending the criminals is in league with the criminals. It's as simple as that. So continue to vote for the people who support the criminals bringing drugs into the country. They are doing such a fantastic job. They successfully facilitated the death of over 200,000 American citizens last year, according to the White House. They're doing such a fantastic job, and you're giving them your votes. Oh, man, you guys are doing a great job. You know, the Bible says that that the person who says good luck to the person who is on their way to do something evil shares in the evil deed that that person commits. So when you give someone your vote and they are heading down the path to enable narco-terrorists bring in fentanyl-laced cocaine into your country and it kills another American citizen, you're complicit in it. All right? It's really very simple. All right? So I'm only saying the facts, okay? If you do want a better America, vote for people who love America and Americans enough to do what it takes to defend American citizens. Patricia says he is already targeting cartels inside the country. So, what do you think? Okay, Patricia has been giving her thoughts and has been very clear about where she stands on President Trump's policies on dealing with narco-terrorists. So what do you think? Do you think that President Trump is going too far, or do you think that he isn't going far enough? All right, let me know in the chat. Mark Kelly hasn't... Look, Mark Kelly is making sure that this conversation around the seditious six keeps going. And here he is releasing yet another video crying about something President Trump said weeks ago. First of all, he says that he made the video because of a statement President Trump made during his 2016 election campaign. That's why he said he made the video. Trump said something 11 years ago. So I'm so traumatized, 9 years ago, and I'm so traumatized by what he said that I'm going to release a video that will call into question whether what I just did was seditious. Oh, and I have a good reason, something Trump said in 2016. And here he is yet again, he's making sure that his face is out there and that this conversation doesn't go away.
It wasn't enough for Donald Trump to say I should be hanged, which prompted death threats against me and my family. It wasn't enough for Pete Hegseth.
I'm sorry. Whenever, I think we should start calling for evidence. Whenever these people say, oh, there were death threats, we need to see the evidence. Just like Tim Wall said that someone drove by his house at 2 a.m. and called him a retard. We're still waiting on the evidence. We want the evidence. We need to support you, Tim Walls. We need to be as outraged as you are. Send us the tapes. We need to hear the reverberation of someone calling you a retard at 2 a.m. in the morning so that we can feel the same, the same vitriol against these crazy, hateful people who did that to your family. So please send the tapes. All right. And same for Mark Kelly, claiming that people send death threats. God, send us the evidence, okay? Because we've had enough of all of these grandstanding and victim Olympics. Oh, someone wants me dead. Look, guys, I've had people post things that are racist in my chat or in my comment section. And you know what I do? I don't talk about it. I just move on, right? Talking about it makes me feel like a victim. I'm not a victim, and I'm not going to talk about it. People post crazy stuff. Someone posted something crazy on both channels just while I was live streaming. What did I do? I just clicked it off. I turned it off. Okay? So them grandstanding and saying, oh, someone sent something hateful, they sent death threats. Yeah, give me a break.
Set to announce a sham investigation on social media. Now they are threatening everything I fought for and served for over 25 years in the U.S. Navy, all because I repeated something every service member is taught. It should send a shiver down the spine of every patriotic American that this president and Secretary of Defense would so corruptly abuse their power to come after me or anyone this way. The United States has the most professional military in the world.
All right. I'm resisting the urge to call Mark Kelly something someone called him in the comment section. Mark Kelly didn't lift a finger when innocent Americans were being dragged by the FBI into detention because they took a stroll around the Capitol building on January 6th. Innocent elderly people who were tourists in Washington, D.C. He didn't care. He didn't say anything. He didn't do a video talking about how the FBI is being weaponized. No, he doesn't care about the American people. All these people care about is power. All they care about is power. Oh, did he care when President Trump was being indicted on bogus charges? The same bogus charges that they tried to kind of, they had some theater where Joe Biden was investigated for documents that he took just after he left office as vice president. And then the DOJ says he's too old and senile to defend himself, so we're going to drop the charges. Did he speak up? These guys are clowns.
What I don't trust is Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, who have already shown they will stop at nothing and corrupt any process to make an example out of me. I will keep doing my job representing Arizona, whether that is voting to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for families.
Oh no, you've done a bang-up job with Obamacare. Every time Obamacare reforms have been on the table, you haven't supported it. So I don't know why you're bringing that up. You failed woefully at ensuring that Americans in Arizona, at least, don't pay crazy health premiums. But you say you want them to pay lower premiums, but you're holding up a policy that ensures that they continue paying higher premiums. I don't know. You seem to be doing a bad job, Mark.
Calling out these tariffs that are driving up costs, or standing up against anyone who threatens our Constitution.
Oh, shut up. Let's move on. So Mark Kelly is doing his very best to stay in the news. Patricia says President Trump is doing exactly what we want done. Yeah. Now, I didn't vote for him. I'm not American. I'm not allowed to vote. I supported him in spirit, and I was happy that he won. President Trump winning is good for the world. The world is finally healing, but it's going to take a while for some sanity to return to the world, because you still have Mark Kellys of this world and the Hakeem Jeffries of this world who want us to believe that the reason why the cost of living or the cost of housing is going up is climate change. Yeah, that's Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. So Patricia says, Mark Kelly is done. The military code will not tolerate what he has done. Let's see indictments. Let's see indictments. That's all I want to see. And let's see prosecutions and people in handcuffs. I really want to see that. Once we see that happening, then we know that we're on track to stop this insanity from moving forward. But I don't think the GOP has the stomach for it. Sad to say, but I think they don't have the stomach for it. Patricia says, President Trump mentioned treason. Treason has a concrete set of actions when you are found guilty of it. Kelly tried to destroy the chain of command. That is what he tried to do. We called it out. We said, this is what's going on. And we were very clear that that this is the law This is military law, and you don't do things like this. He's trying to appeal to the general public. He's trying to appeal to the masses. And I think that's why Mark Kelly has been in the press and on camera so much over the last couple of weeks. He's trying to appeal to the general population of civilians so that when those charges come down, it will appear like, oh, the tyrant Trump is trying to arrest me for doing nothing. Okay? And Trump can't do everything. The DOJ can't do everything. Fox News, as big as they are, can't do everything. Conversations like this have to happen among the citizenry. People have to exchange ideas among the citizenry to say what is right and what is wrong. Because too many people depend on TDSBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, CNBC. They all depend on these outlets to think for them. So they don't even know what to think anymore. So conversations have to happen among citizens to understand what exactly is happening. Patricia says, have the other 5 left Kelly flapping in the wind by himself? They have been very quiet since it was mentioned that court-martial can be activated. They've been having very muted conversations. Mark Kelly is the one being very vocal about it because his court-martial is very real. The others have been very muted. They've been saying things ranging from, oh, we were only talking about the bombing of the narco boats and nothing else. We didn't mean to imply that the military should stage a coup. Okay, they've been trying to backtrack a little, but still stay relevant to the conversation. It's interesting to watch. Good call for him to shut up. Thank you, Patricia. I'm glad you backed my play. I wonder, look, Collective Consciousness said something about actors. And you know what? I tend to agree with him that, them being soulless is a huge factor. Sitting and talking about the news can be very tiring and very soul-sucking because we're talking about things that many times we may not have the ability to change. I feel frustrated whenever I talk about these things. And I even feel more frustrated because I'm talking about something happening in a different country and I have no power to vote or do anything. But the only reason that I keep doing it is because I know that the conversation is important. And whatever happens in the United States eventually will reach me where I live. Okay, so it reached me when I lived in Nigeria, when Obama decided that it was for our own good in Nigeria not to have great universities, not to have better economic standards, and ensuring that security in our country was beefed up so that people could have great lives and businesses. That wasn't what was good for us in Nigeria. What Obama felt was good for us in Nigeria was gay marriage. I'm not a homophobe. People have been homosexual for decades. I even think I have been, I have met homosexuals since I was a child in Nigeria. I've had people who were homosexual, talk to me, and I didn't know they were homosexual, but looking back, it was like, I guess that person was homosexual. And all of that has been happening for decades. But it wasn't shoved down your throat because you needed to be progressive and compassionate by acknowledging that this person's way of life was okay in your books. It's like me stepping out in public and screaming to the 4 corners of the city that I am attracted to women. Okay, that's how obnoxious it is for people to believe that in order for people who choose a certain lifestyle to be accepted, they have to stand in front of all of us and come out of the closet, if you will, to let us know what they do in private and stick it in our faces, and then watch for micro expressions to see if we are phobic to their private lifestyle. Okay, so Obama decided that he wanted to take a tour of Africa and force all of Africa to endorse gay marriage, not improve our economy, not improve education, not improve security. No, he wanted more people who had fringe lifestyles to be brought into the mainstream and to enforce it on everybody else. He wanted the 1% or even the 0.5% to be acknowledged by the 99.5%. So whenever I say this is important to talk about, it is important, and not for the reasons why some people think it is important. It is important because whenever you have a Joe Biden, leave an open border and allow millions of people cross over into the United States and potentially shift the voting bloc far further left to the point where in 15 to 20 years, you have a uniparty that only votes Democrat. And the Democrats are filled with people who essentially do not want anything good for America or for Western civilization. And you want them to control the greatest military power on the planet. It's bad for everybody else. Obama essentially spat in the eye of Nigeria and said, well, if you don't accept gay marriage, we're going to pull our resources from you and we're going to let Boko Haram do whatever they like in northern Nigeria. Obama is the reason why Nigeria is the way it is today. So when I talk about things like this, it is because I know how far-reaching the influence of America's success or failure can be. Patricia says, a really good thing is that America is collecting billions in tariffs and Congress is going to have a major problem on what they are going to do with it. We will all be watching. Yeah. Well, President Trump says, I think we can do this with the tariffs. The same tariffs that they said weren't possible. Now they're thinking about how legal it is for him to give out tariff dividend checks. It's fun to watch, but I don't know. Patricia says, most people do not care what anyone does in their own bedroom. Just do not shove it in our faces. Exactly. Like, and when you say it like that, they say you're homophobic. Never ask me to change my religious beliefs to make you feel good about yourself. People have been doing this for thousands of years. Christianity has made it possible for people not to be executed because of this. Like, Christianity has become more tolerant of these things. We don't recommend any physical punishment on anyone who does these things, contrary to what has happened throughout history. History has had incidents where people who are, homosexual have been treated certain ways. But that was never the teaching of the Bible. Okay, the teaching of the Bible when it comes to the New Testament essentially says, if anyone chooses to live this way, okay, as a Christian, you can't have that person as a member of the church. It's really that simple, because this is not what God wants for their lives. And if they choose that way, it means they're rebelling against God. They choose to go that way. The church never says, okay, either stone them or inject them with chemicals that essentially neuter them or any of those things. No, it just says don't have anything to do with them because this is the church. Okay. Society, on the other hand, can choose however it deems fit to handle cases like that. Now, America being a Christian society, okay, that has essentially grown based on Christian values from everything that I have come to understand, has allowed for these lifestyles to go without any corporal punishment so far in the modern era. But with them being allowed to thrive, they've decided that they want to shove these things in our faces. And it's like, you can have you have the choice to do these things. But I should also have the choice not to want to be involved by seeing or knowing what you're doing in your bedroom. But these days, they don't do it in the bedrooms anymore. They do it on the street during their parades. And they try to get all of us to participate with our eyes. And if we choose not to, we are bigots and we're hateful. So we live in strange times, my friends, strange times. And in order for us to have a sane society, we have to confront these things and have some very pointed conversations and say, look, we don't want this in our homes. We don't want this in our societies. We don't want this on our TV screens, Netflix. Okay, so I think it's only common sense. Only common sense. All right. So let's see. We have a couple of stories to go. So MSNBC is trying to convince us that the terror plot that was recently foiled by the FBI essentially is a nothing burger. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, a far-left extremist group that was in the desert putting together bombs to attack certain locations and businesses simultaneously, it's a figment of our imagination. Let's have a listen.
So there's 4 individuals that they've arrested, and they say they're sort of part of far left organizations that are against capitalism. And then there's not many more other details about sort of how far along these plots got. I think it'll be very important to see what the actual charging documents are. And it's not a group that has a large presence online. That could be because they don't want to have a large presence.
This group they've identified as the Turtle Island Liberation Front. They called it a radical anti-government group.
Yes, I spoke with, and I really want to wait and see, what the charges are. It's always very important to see the charging documents. I've talked to 3 former national security and FBI officials, and they had never heard of this group. So it could be very dangerous because they've kept such a low profile, but it's not a group that has come across law enforcement radar in the past.
How often does that happen? A plot of this magnitude coming from a group that isn't necessarily on the forefront of a lot of law enforcement's radars.
It's unusual. I mean, it's possible. People radicalize online from different extreme. ISIS radicalized people online is very well known to people. So this could be a left-leaning group that somehow radicalized online. We just really need to see more of the charges themselves, learn more about the backgrounds of each of these 4 people. It sounds like they were arrested as they were trying to maybe prepare these devices. Again, it was unclear about the timing and all of that. So we just need to get, I think, much more detail before we can judge the danger here.
All right, so they are very cagey about coming out to say these people are really dangerous. They're just being cagey about the entire thing. It's clear that there's drone footage that shows that they were assembling bombs. It's very clear that these people have gained some mileage in order to be able to put these kinds of resources together. Let's not beat about the bush. These people are dangerous. And if there's one, there must be others. So I'm sure the FBI is running more investigations, and hopefully they haven't gotten to critical mass to become a real problem like Antifa and other outfits have become today. When Antifa started, it was just these very annoying people in black bloc running around breaking things and attacking people and disrupting protests. Now they are essentially a legitimate terrorist organization that is that has gone international. So I hope the FBI takes this very seriously and does something about it. All right. Now, Patricia says they want to get, speaking of the people who have alternate sexual orientations, they want to get an amendment to the Constitution to protect them. I must remind them that the Civil Rights Amendment never made it into the Constitution. True. So, the rights of every citizen is immutable. Every citizen. Trying to separate yourself from the general citizenry to give yourself special concessions is one of the problems that we found in general politics. People trying to have protected classes and have special privileges that other citizens don't have. We used to call it racism, but now it's something different. It's called essentially being protected, but it's still racism. Racism was done away with years ago, and today it seems like the left are desperate to bring another variant of racism back, because it's all about identity politics, how you look, how you dress, color of your skin, and who you sleep with. It is all one crazy basket called racism. So I'm sure that there will be more conversations around this in the years to come. All right. We're wrapping up the conversation. We want to check the poll and then talk about the answers in the poll. Now, on the main channel, we have 67% saying that Trump was wrong to send out that post about Rob Reiner. And on the backup channel, we have 60% saying, yes, Trump was wrong to send out that poll. Now, the post he sent out doesn't change the fact that gasoline is the cheapest it's been in decades. And the economy is healing faster and faster. And Americans are going to have great grocery prices. Things are getting better. So why not talk about the things that are getting better and ignore President Trump essentially giving his parting shots to somebody who hated him for decades and tried to destroy him every chance he got? Do you know what it means for someone to essentially spend 10 years of their life claiming that you're a Russian asset? Rob Reiner spent the better part of the decade pushing the narrative that Trump was a Russian asset. So sometimes whenever we hear President Trump react viscerally about certain people, whether we think it's appropriate or not, okay, he's not me and I'm not him. I didn't go through what he went through. But you know what? If I went through half of what he went through, maybe I would have the license to say, look, these people are horrible people. They tried to destroy my life. They tried to put me in jail for the rest of my life. I think I get to say the truth about who they really were. It's like, they always throw the H word around, whenever it comes to Trump. Oh, he's Hitler. Okay. Did anybody have kind words to say about Hitler when he was found dead? Did anybody give a tribute to say, oh, I know he started the World War, he decimated over 6 million Jews, but, he was a nice guy. I mean, I believe that the mainstream media of today may have tone policed Roosevelt for talking about Hitler like that. They would have tone policed him and said, look, you're being hateful about somebody who did all of these horrific things. Say, oh, okay, so here's Hitler. Here's all the bad things he did. It's bad that he went the way he did, but he did all these bad things and he was essentially a horrible human being. Okay, fine. So President Trump, I guess, has cause to point out how badly he was treated by Rob REINER. And I don't think he wants to be a hypocrite about it. A hypocrite is someone who pretends. Okay, he has a mask on. That's where the root word hypocrite comes from. Someone who pretends to be something he is not. President Trump isn't pretending. He calls out people. He says how he feels about people. And essentially, he doesn't care what anyone thinks. And so the press tried to cow him into being submissive and walk back his statements. And he says, no, this is exactly what I said. What I said. I didn't stutter. This is what he did. This is what he said. I did say that it was bad, that he went the way he did, but this was who he was while he was alive. Okay. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you're watching this after the fact. Please consider liking the video, sharing the video, hit the thumbs up icon to like the video, share the video. Subscribe if you've watched this far. I consider you a super fan. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever new videos are released from my channel. Also, if you want to support the channel financially, consider leaving a super chat or a super thank when you leave a comment. And we also have a membership running on the main channel. So if you want to join the membership, if you're on the main channel, there's a button on the screen that shows you that you can join the membership. If you are on the backup channel and you want to join the membership, the link is in the description of this live stream video. Thank you so much for being a part of it, Patricia. Thank you so much. As always, you've provided great commentary, with your comments and your reaction. Collective Consciousness, thank you so much. Finally, you get to join us during a live stream. And I'm so glad that we were able to have you on and your comments were spot on. For everyone who's lurking and watching and simply ducking in and out, thank you for watching. I do appreciate that you took the time to watch the content. For those of you who left comments that I had to block or delete, don't do that again. It's rude to come into someone's house and shit in the living room. So you need to learn how to behave yourself. You guys came from homes, okay? Didn't your mom teach you how to behave when you visit someone else's house? You don't just go out there and blurt stuff that makes no sense. There's a conversation happening and you're supposed to join in the conversation. If you don't like what we're saying, leave. You don't have to pull down your britches and take a dump in the middle of the conversation. So if you feel like you have a right to do that because it is social media and it is free speech, yeah, you do have free speech, and I have the freedom to kick you out of my live stream if I choose to. So please behave yourself and learn how to behave in public. All right. Patricia says, 3i Atlas is getting crazy posts made about it. I got the videos that you sent. And to be honest, we're going to talk about it. Okay? We're going to talk about it because I don't know. We're going to talk about it. This Friday, we're going to dive into it and unpack it. All right? Now, one of the things that we decided to do is to make our Fridays the days when we talk about some of the news that isn't exactly new, politics. This is where we talk about science. This is where we talk about aliens, alien technology, ancient civilizations. We do that on Fridays. And it's a growing segment of our channel. And we're trying to have conversations around it that is decent and is well-rounded and comes with facts. So Patricia and a few of us have been talking about how to make these things happen. And do you know what? You're invited to be a part of the conversation. If you feel like there's more to be said about things like this and you feel like contributing to it, use the email address on the screen, crossroadsirl@gmail.com, and send us ideas. There's the 3i Atlas situation that we've been looking at. And we're going to be talking about it again this Friday. So please be a part of the community. We enjoy welcoming new people who actually have a good head on their shoulders and are willing to have good faith conversations. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday. I'm looking forward to having you as a part of the conversation. I'm looking forward to the growth of this channel. All right. Now, this is the part of the live stream I tend to enjoy. So we're going to take a couple of minutes to just do this. There are many people right now on YouTube. I can't get my eyes off this Swiffer. I need to get rid of it. Okay. So guys, this is my duster. I need to get rid of it. I'm a perfectionist. So whenever I see stuff like that, it tends to just kind of catch my eye occasionally. And I did my best to ignore it for the whole live stream until now. So a lot has been happening with YouTube, many changes on YouTube, and a lot of things that can't be ignored. I've been watching creators who talk about how their channels aren't doing so well. And for me, I would want to work harder on my content. I had someone jump in who said something disparaging about my content. I don't care. I have people who like the content that I present, and they treasure the earnestness with which I present the content, and they want to be supportive, and they want to be as supportive as they can be. Okay. Sorry. I like engaging in the chat. So guys, so this is not exactly a Swiffer, not yet. Okay. I bought this shortly after I arrived in Canada, and we moved. This was in 2022. I think I got this from a dollar store or something. And I've had it since then. I've seen the Swiffer product at Walmart, but I've never gotten around to buying one. So maybe when the channel starts making more money, I might buy a Swiffer. So I've owned this for 3 years now, and it's been great. I mean, I throw it in the washing machine and get it washed, and I clean it up and all that. But eventually, I will get a proper Swiffer. All right, so I just want to come clean. I mislabeled the duster. I like to tell the truth, and when I say something that isn't exactly true, and I find out, it eats away at me, and I have to correct it. So that's why I had to, take a detour. So lots of people have been talking about. Let's see. Okay, Patricia says, "Get one. I won't clean house without it." Okay, I will get a Swiffer. I'm going to challenge myself. I want this channel to make, when this channel makes $5,000 in a month, then I'll get a Swiffer. The day you see a Swiffer, you know the channel made $5,000. I think that's going to be a landmark. So guys, so remind me, okay, if you don't see a Swiffer, yeah, mine is washable. Yeah, mine is washable. So you can pull this out. Oops, sorry. You can pull this out, and then throw it into the wash it, and then you put it back on. Yeah, so it's really nifty. I use it now. I originally used it for dusting things around the house. Then I recently pulled it into this room to use to dust the screens and my laptop and everything. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 screens, and sometimes you see all the dust, and I have a degree of, is it ADD or OCD? I just need things to be clean. Okay, I try. I'm not the cleanest person, around, but I try to make sure that if I see anything dusty around me, I need to clean it. So I brought this in, and it lives in this room now. Yeah. So yes, it is washable. So YouTube has made changes. And one of the things that has been happening with many of my videos is that I keep seeing YouTube saying that there's limited monetization or limited reach on this video or the other. And then when I challenge it, YouTube tends to reverse course and release the videos. Since I started seeing these checks on my videos, the views on the live streams and on the other regular videos has dropped. So, so this is me talking to my super fans. I always like to leave the best conversations like this last, okay? Because people duck in and out, but during this period, I have this conversation with you guys just to say, look, the channel is, it's in my opinion, it's in a good place where we know what we talk about and how we talk about it. How we talk about it is the tone and the spirit in which we have these conversations. I did say mid live stream that I've found a way to kind of calm down the conversation, even though I'm feeling very worked up about the stories that we're covering. I've found a way to calm down because I need to be doing this for a long time, and if I become like Andrew Breitbart, who essentially screamed himself into an early grave, I don't want to be like him. I want to be calm, collected. I want to have conversations about these things that I'm really passionate about, but do it in a calm demeanor and figure out a way to look at the insanity happening around the world and in the United States as if I'm watching professional wrestling. Everything is staged. Okay, everything is staged. People have been saying that the world is coming to an end for thousands of years, and the world is still here. So we're going to learn how to calm down, take a good look at the world, and figure out how to have decent conversation, about it. Oops, sorry. I just wanted to bring up Patricia's comment. I use meditation to help calm my emotions and clear my mind. Yeah, I think about what I do is I think about what the Bible says. Okay, I think about what the Bible says about how God is in control of everything. I think about how in the past things have been said to be horrible and that things were never going to get better. And then I've seen how the grace of God has come in and helped me through those times. And so that for me is what centers me. Now, in the moment, sometimes you let these bad moments drag out. They drag out and you get into a season of worry, anxiety, anger. I got into that season during the first couple of weeks after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I was angry for days. And I got out of it because I got my center again, through scriptures. Patricia says, my favorite scripture is be still and know that I am God. Yes. Just, learn how to trust God. Okay. Learn how to trust God. If God says, this is what's going to happen, we need to learn how to trust him. We live in a world today where people have been trained to be suspicious of God, to be suspicious of anything that they deem religious. Have more confidence in people and things who can't even take care of their own lives. And that's the world we live in today. So whenever you see an increase, they say that there's an increase in mental health problems. Mental health issues are rampant all over the world. Why is it that mental health issues are rampant all over the world? I would suggest that it is because people have abandoned the fountain of peace. They've abandoned the fountain of peace. I saw a statistic a couple of weeks ago about how many churches have been converted to entertainment centers. How many churches have been converted to mosques? How many churches essentially are empty now because the West has been trained by Hollywood to abandon faith in God and begin to put their faith in men. And whenever you see that happening in any society, it creates anxiety, it creates sickness, it creates a sickness of the heart and mind that can only be cured by faith in Jesus. So there are people that will disagree with me. To each his own. but I have been following Jesus for over 30 years now, and he has never disappointed me. I have disappointed me. Okay, I have disappointed him. I've disappointed my family, my friends, but he has never disappointed me. So that is how I've learned how to stay centered. And like Patricia, who spends time meditating, I believe, on the Bible, on the Word of God as well, you find your peace in those words, because his words are full of peace. All right. You didn't come here for a Bible study. You came here to talk about the news and politics. But you know what? If all you do is listen to news and politics, you will go to an early grave. You will. You will. If you don't have that peace that centers you, that peace that keeps you centered and that keeps your heart steady. Okay, whenever you look at the insanity happening in the world, I look at it and I'm like, how do people survive? And while I'm doing all of this, I've told you guys I'm going through my own period of difficulty. How is it that I can do all of that and not look like I'm losing my mind? It is because I keep myself centered on what God's word says. Patricia says God loves us. He does. He does. And because he loves us, he teaches us to love others. We're in a season where we are reminded that God loved us so much that he gave his only begotten son. This is how God loved us. He sent his son, not as a full-grown adult who could defend himself. He sends to us an infant who needs his diaper changed, puts him in harm's way, lets him grow up in a disease-ridden, hate-filled world. The first 2 years of his life, a king tries to assassinate him, and because he can't figure out who he is, sends his army to Bethlehem to kill every child 2 years and under, just to get at Jesus. God put his own son in harm's way, just so that you and I can have peace. That is an amazing story that isn't being told. Should I tell this story? I don't know who's watching. I attended my daughter's Christmas concert today at her elementary school. They put on very nice concerts, and I'm happy that my daughter has the privilege of being able to do these concerts here in North America. And while they're doing this concert, it occurs to me that they are not celebrating Jesus. They are not celebrating the reason why he came. Do you know what they chose to make the theme of the Christmas concert all about? It was about feminism, about how a bunch of girls wanted to be Deputy Santa Claus, and they needed to change the tradition that only boys could be Santa Claus. It became a feminist concert. Okay, have a feminist Christmas. It's weird that the world chooses to go the other way when Jesus is calling us into peace and safety. The world wants to go the other way into chaos, into hate, into things that will make your life miserable. And they wonder why there's such a mental health epidemic going on in the world. And they're like, no, it's this other thing or that other thing. The real cause of the mental health epidemic we have in the world is because men and women everywhere have abandoned the fountain of peace. The Bible says that he will be called the Prince of Peace. Patricia asked, what about Mrs. Santa Claus? Are they ignoring her? No, they had Mr. Santa and they had Mrs. Santa, and it was Santa University. Santa University is where people go to learn how to either be reindeers, elves, or Santa Claus. And there were a bunch of girls, students who wanted to study to be deputy Santas so that when they qualified, they would be full-blown Santa Clauses. And the argument of the play was, it's never been done, and so on. And there were arguments about tradition. And then the climax of the play was everyone is inclusive. Everyone can be whatever they want to be. And it's like, well, I guess that's what they think Christmas is about now. So Mrs. Santa Claus and Mr. Santa Claus were all for being progressive. And so the girls got their shot at being deputy Santas. So someone might watch this and say, what's so wrong with that? When we have a conversation in a few years and this thing takes full bloom, you find out that at 18, these 9-year-old girls, by the time they get to 18, there are 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and 9-year-old girls doing this play. By the time they're 18, you find the seed of that play coming to fruition to say, okay, everything that I could do, that only I can do, I no longer want to do. I want this other thing that isn't part of God's plan for my life. And when you say that's not God's plan for your life, they'll say you're a bigot. You know. Yeah. So I am all for women going into careers. My wife has a career. My daughter is looking like she has a career in the creative fields. I'm all for that. But there are things that I can see from a mile away that these people are talking about. And that's how you get groomed into certain ideologies that aren't helpful for you when you're a little girl growing up. All right. I don't know. I'm just saying there are just some things that come up. Anywho, Christmas is really about Jesus, not about all the other things we would like it to be. It's really about us honoring him and loving him and asking him, what's your plan for my life? And if his plan for our life is one thing, we submit to it and then we go for it. So I don't know. There's so many things to say, and I hope that I didn't miscommunicate while I was explaining this bit about the play and everything. I hope you understood my heart and what I meant by what I said. Yeah, this bit of the live stream, my favorite bit of the live stream, where I simply talk to you guys and just share stuff with you. I don't know. Sometimes it goes sideways. Sometimes it goes sideways. You know, Patricia says, I agree with you. And history is never wrong, including the history in the Bible. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. We should do our best to honor Jesus, the sacrifice he made coming into this world and becoming like us, and then making the sacrifice for our sins so that we could be adopted into the family of God, so that we would have access to peace, a peace that surpasses understanding. All right. This is the Christmas season. And while I'm busy thinking about how to grow my YouTube channel, the most important thing for me is that hopefully some of you will get to this point of the video and hear this invitation to know Jesus and to accept the peace he gives. Yes, there's a lot of hostility out there about faith, about Jesus, about Christianity. I would also say that there are a lot of lies that have been told about Christianity. Lots of lies. And I'll be honest with you, I would struggle to dissuade you of any of those lies. All I can say is, in the privacy of your heart, ask Jesus the questions that you desire him to answer and let him do the job. If there's anything you don't understand about Christianity, ask him to explain it to you And you know what? Over the next few days, you're going to get an answer, and it will shock you at how personal Jesus can be. So I want to encourage you to find peace in him, because he is the Prince of Peace. The Bible says that he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Okay, so I want you to experience that peace, and it will change everything about you, change your life, your family, everything about you. Okay, guys, this has been a live stream. We live streamed early, and like I said, we are seeing a bit of a drop off in views. It could be because of some of the blocks that I've been seeing on the last few live streams. We've seen some of these live streams, go out, and it's almost as if they get blocked. And I'll just say, I need you guys to help out with the sharing of the videos, the liking of the videos. The chatting helps out a whole lot. Whenever you chat, the reason why people keep finding the video is because of your chat. You guys keep sending the chats, and while you're chatting, YouTube sends a signal to other people to say, hey, something is going on over here, and you might like it. So just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate all of the efforts you make to help the video, to help me. Thank you, Patricia. I mentioned to you and the guys that I was going to be going live earlier, and you went out of your way to come in to be part of the live stream, even though we're outside of our usual time belt. Thank you so much. We're looking at trying to see what time works best for us. But you know what? I really love hanging out with you guys, no matter what time of day it is. So thank you, Patricia, for being here. Collective Consciousness, thank you. Those of you who are lurking and never chat in the comments or in the chat, I appreciate you for being here and for helping us to rack up some views. And then for those of you that I blocked for being nuisances, I hope you would take this as a love tap. It's a love tap to get you to please learn how to behave. Even if I don't agree with something I'm watching on a different channel, I don't go into their chat and tell them how much they suck. Okay, I don't. And in the past, I would leave it because I didn't want to be seen as someone who censored his chat. But I believe that the comments also have a negative impact on everyone else who's watching the live stream. It's like when someone farts in a movie theater. You're ruining the experience for everyone else. You may have chosen to relieve the gas in your gut, and you feel better, but everyone else feels worse. So you have to learn how to channel your discomfort. And if you hate the movie so much, why don't you just leave quietly without? And there are a bunch of people who come in and they leave quietly. And you know what? I respect that. I see them come in and they leave, and I'm like, I respect it. But if you come in and before you leave, you want to make sure that everyone knows how much you hate the content that we're talking about, and you take a poop in the middle of the chat, I have decided that I'm going to start taking action. All right. I've been polite for very long, but I think it's time to just, for the sanity of everyone else who comes here to simply have a conversation and to have fun, I will simply be removing your comments from the chat and possibly banning you. Okay. You don't want to be here. Don't come back. Leave. All right. It's really that simple. I just took a few minutes to rant at people who aren't even here, but this is for people who may have seen the chats disappear. And I'm like, oh, so he censors his chat. Yes, now I do. Okay. Patricia, thank you so much. I hope you had a lovely day. I know you're busy, and I'm sure you're preparing for the holidays, and there's stuff going on in the house. I do love to see you in the chat. Thank you for joining and coming back. Let's have you vote. Okay, on the group, we have a poll that we're waiting on you to vote on, Patricia. So we're waiting on you to vote on that so that we can have that call that we talked about and then plan Friday's session. Thank you all so much for being here. I sincerely love you guys, including those who came to poop in the middle of the chat. I love them too, but I have to spank them. I love my kids, but when they misbehave, I give them a good spanking to set them straight, okay? I am all for spanking, and it creates decent, law-abiding citizens. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern. Thank you, and God bless. Oh, Patricia says she's crocheting. My daughter crochets. Where's that other thing she did? Hold on, Patricia. Okay, so this is one of the first attempts of my daughter. She crochets stuff and then she gives them to her dad. So she crocheted this, and she's really got. She's getting very good at crocheting. She wanted to give me a glove. She wanted to make gloves for me on my birthday. She's still working on the gloves. I think I might not get those gloves for a while, but she's working hard at getting great at crocheting. All right, have fun crocheting. Crocheting hats. Nice. Want to go. Amazing. Good night. God bless. I will check it. Okay. Thank you so much, Patricia. Love you. Love all of you who are watching and those of you who are coming in just as we're saying goodbye. I love you too. And I'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern. Bye-bye. Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together.